Fat Thor podcast. I'm your host, Andy Gunnin.
And I'm Rick
And my other host. And we've got an awesome show. We're doing this a special time, special day for you guys because, well, our guest, we're accommodating him and our schedules with him being in Vegas and us in Georgia. We got a great comedian for you. If you don't know who he is, you're going to know him today. He is tearing up the comedy scene and was tearing up the comedy scene before COVID and still out there. He's from Brookwood, Alabama. He has been all over the place from New York and right now in Vegas. Welcome to the show, Rocky Dale Davis. Welcome, Rocky.
What's up, man? You guys had a nice little intro, dude. I wasn't expecting all that. I thought you said you're from Georgia. I thought you were going to be sitting on a double wide with a Samsung phone. You guys had a count-in and everything. Got my name right here on the bottom. This is incredible, dude.
Yeah.
I should have dressed up for this. Good Lord.
We try.
I like it, dude. Did you do all this yourself, the intro and everything?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did all this myself.
You're a nerd, dude.
I am not.
I thought you were some big hunting, eating a deer's nose off out in the wild, and you're out here creating graphics, you nerd. Yeah.
Well, there's truth to all those statements, okay? Truth to all, but I'm not a nerd because this is what I've learned during COVID. Since, we couldn't do comedy shows, and my last show was at Laughing Skull, I've been learning how to do all this stuff. And it's taken me 4 months to figure it out.
Like a nerd in training.
Yeah. Rick, I've met you before, haven't I, Rick? Or
yeah,
no?
yeah. We did a show at Gate City Brewing back several years ago over in Roswell, Georgia.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie Ward was on that. I remember Garrett Hayes put that show together.
Yeah.
I met you over there. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day, dude.
Yes, sir.
It's so weird. It's so weird when I'll be driving through somewhere in the South and I'll be like, oh, I've done a show here before. Like, you just forget. Like, I'll be like, oh, I've done it. Yeah. Like, my girlfriend's like, well, how was that? I was like, well, most of them were awful. Most of them weren't good. Most of them weren't good. Dude, there was a night I did a show with Jamie. No, it wasn't Jamie. It was Marshall, who owns the Laughing Skull. So it was like I did a spot at the Laughing Skull, and then I went and did like this teacher thing for Marshall. And so it was like in like the west side of Georgia. And then I had a show at like 11:30 in Alabama because you get the time change when you go back. Right. So I was able to do literally bounce in between time zones. And I did this last show in Alabama. First two shows, great, murdered, had great sets. And last set, it was at the office in Anniston, Alabama. It was so – I showed up at for the 11:30 show. Right. Show didn't start till 12. No signs of comedy. There's no nothing. I get there and I'm like, hey, I'm the comedian. And he goes, what? I'm like, I'm the comedian for tonight. And they go, oh, we're having a comedy show. And I go, I think so. He goes, oh, cool. I didn't even know. I'm like, you own the bar? Okay, cool. That's great. So we're sitting there and there's 5 chairs set out to watch. And then the guy goes, okay, man, we're going to put you on. And I was like, all right, you going to turn the sound down? He's like, yeah, I got it. So he goes and turns the music down and people are like, what the hell? Turn the music back on. I'm like, this is starting great, right? Yeah. And then the guy doesn't turn the music all the way down and then just calls me on stage. And I get on stage and the music plays the entire time that I'm on stage. It's in the background. So I'm doing yeah, and that's how the unicorn found the, leprechaun. And in the background, you're like, baby, you're a fine woman. Awful show. Somebody got arrested. I think a dude hit a chick at that show. Dude, it was the worst.
Oh my God.
Anniston, Alabama. The last time I did Anniston, I really pulled up in the parking lot with my girlfriend, and there is a guy who is clearly on meth at 5:30 in the afternoon.
That's right.
Missing a shoe, face tattoos.
Yeah.
Twitching like he's having some epileptic seizure. Cops come out there. And then the first time I ever did Anniston was I did this place over in the other side of Anniston, and it was me, 2 other comedians, 2 drag queens, and a country singer.
There you go.
That was the So never a dull moment in Anniston, Alabama. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was wild. You said you met a guy at 5:30 doing meth in Anniston?
Yeah.
My uncle had said he met you there. That's so cool.
He's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing all right, man. They got him in prison right now. He's on a nice little bill chaser program.
Well, he went viral for a day. So he was viral for a day.
Dude, it's so weird. It's so weird that like coming from like those like places of like where it's so funny because like I've done a lot in comedy and like I'm not the most famous person in my hometown. Like I'm not like that. No one else has came from Brookwood, but the janitor at our high school who was there, like he graduated our high school and then became a janitor at the high school. And he's the most famous person by far in my hometown. Like I can't start a show. But like when people see here and they're like, "Oh my God, it's so good to see you," and they see me, they're like, "Are you still doing your little comedy thing? How's your little comedy thing?"
So you should double bill with him and have him clean up after the show.
Not a bad idea.
Right.
Not a bad idea. I would sell out a show if I had him like come do 5 minutes on it. It was fucking
the homecoming show with special guests. And have your janitor, and at that high school. If he's really good, you can have it out there in the stadium, Steve.
Bro, he was huge at our high school. He was the janitor. He was the referee at the football games. He was the referee at the basketball games. He was a jack of all trades. I mean, given he should be more famous than me, you know?
I'm surprised he hasn't ran for office in this little town.
Oh, I would vote for him. I would vote for him.
It'd be a landslide victory, right?
Chad Daniels has a joke. He's a great comedian. He goes, I still live in the hometown I was born, and a lot of people still hate me from a long time ago. It's like, yeah, like tons of people like that don't like me. They're like, well, do you like his jokes? Nah. He ran into my car in high school. He prank called me in 10th grade.
Yeah.
It's like you're never a hero in your hometown, even though I've done an insane amount of stuff. I still like people still like just think I'm just Rocky. I'm like, I'm a superstar, bitch.
Right. Like you trenched my yard that time after homecoming.
That's right. Yeah. I'm a superstar and I donate to my GoFundMe. I'm completely broke right now and I'm gonna
right.
The worst, dude.
Yeah, so you're in Vegas now. You're still in Vegas. I didn't know if you, and so that's what I was trying to tell the folks. Because you're like every one of us, out of work and just trying to figure this thing out. And what are you doing with all that?
Man, it's I did a long, very very sad interview just a minute ago with the guy from USA Today, talking about it. It's it has shifted so much of where I don't see light anymore. Like I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of people are very optimistic about all this, and I was optimistic the first 4 months of it. Right. And now I'm talking to comedy clubs, and they're telling me like I was a headliner on the road, like consistent headliner. Right. And now I'm hitting up comedy clubs to feature, and they're like, "Sorry, man, we just won't be able to pay you, or we can't. We're not even open, or we have 20 people a show." Zane's in Nashville, I think, can only have 20 people a show right now.
Really?
And it's like it's a very sad thing where I've completely went broke. Like I don't have unemployment yet. I'm owed 24 weeks of unemployment by the state of Nevada, and I'm not getting it. Me and tons of other people, tens of thousands of people aren't being paid. And so it's like I can't even have the happiness to create a video. Like, what am I going to do a video about right now? I'm going to make a video about fucking stop signs? No, I'm upset. I'm mad every day. Mm-hmm. And it's affected my life. It's affected tons of things. I can't work. So it's not. It's like when you look back at the old times, it kind of like my first 3 years. Okay, I wasn't making money, but I still was able to do something I really enjoyed and be happy. So now I'm not making money, and I don't have the thing that makes me happy. And now I feel like I don't have a purpose in life. And it's like, dude, I did a podcast about it the other day, my own podcast, where I talked about like anxiety and depression because I used to battle with it before that. And I did a whole thing on it, and a lot of people wrote me. They're like, I didn't know you dealt. I'm like, bro, I deal with, especially during these times, like insane depression, the worst than I've ever felt before. Because I have I feel like I'm not bringing anything to the world, and I'm not able to even enjoy things I used to enjoy. Like I have to seriously watch my money now. Like I never had to watch my money before. Like, I would just go out and do whatever I wanted because I knew I could make money back. I can't make money now. Like it's even doing side jobs and stuff. There's no. I'm not going to find a job where I make $1,500, $2,000 a weekend. That doesn't exist. Even if I find one where I could work during the week, that job doesn't. Find me a fucking job that makes $2,000 a week. I'll go work it right now. But I'm not going to work in fucking coal mines because once you sign on to one of these jobs, you're going to be locked in forever to that.
Yep. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. You're exactly right. We're all dealing. There's tons of us dealing with it, and it's trying to find that happiness is. that's how, talking about me being a nerd and figuring all this out this is where I've, tried not to go insane, is focusing towards this podcast, towards a group on Facebook, but then you start falling down those rabbit holes and you're like, okay, I got to get out of this rabbit hole. This isn't a good rabbit hole to be down,
man. But I wanted to really, I wanted to put time into a podcast. I really wanted to put time, and I did my first video podcast at a place, but then I was like, oh wait, I can't afford to do this every week. Like, it's like, I want to have it and I want to make it stand out and do things differently, but like, I don't have the time to do it on my own. I don't have the will. I don't that's the thing. I don't have the will to sit there and try to edit some fucking podcast all day. And also I'm just not happy enough to do it. It's brutal, man. And it's brutal. And thankfully I'm one of the comedians that doesn't have kids. I mean, to the comics that had kids, like, to the ones that were purely comedy, like I was purely comedy. I made all my money off of comedy. To the ones that did that and have kids, let alone kids in college or whatever, like, oh, dude, I don't even know what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, I agree totally. Yeah, I don't either. And, that's the scary, that's the part about this, because I've got friends of mine, my cousin, I was like, well, you're still doing. I was like, look, I wasn't even getting paid at shows. I mean, and what I was getting paid wasn't anything to pay bills to begin with. So let's just get that off the table. Right. Let's just get that off the table.
Right.
And unless you got a job you want me to come do, or something that, like you said, $1,500, $2,000 a week. Where's that at? I mean, that's literally what it's going to take. And, thankfully my kids are older and I had them ahead before I started really jumping into comedy, and they're 22, 18 and 19. So I'm like, you can figure it out on your own. Just you go figure it out on your own, brother. It's a cold, tough world, bro.
That's a big thing with it, dude. No one really understands is if you were working a regular job and doing comedy, like, that's a different thing, because you probably still have your regular job. But when you have comedy, I thought I was the most essential job in the country. I'm one of the least essential jobs. We're in phase fucking 9. Like, that's when comedy clubs come back,
Yeah. Oh, I know. And, I run one, and they're talking right now, maybe January. So
that's insane.
Yep. And the Punchline just opened here in Atlanta last week. But they're only having, like you were saying, Zanies is having 50 people. That's it, and Punchline can hold 300. Well, not 180, 188 or something like that.
Yeah. And that's like the Punchline, like I was taught, they have the same restrictions in the Punchline, though. Like, I don't even think they make the money off of alcohol and food. And so that's and that's the same thing with Laugh at Skull. Like, Laugh at Skull, I don't know. I haven't talked to Marshall, but I don't know how they're planning, because they didn't have food. They just made money off alcohol, and they're not a big club. If you socially distance in that club, that's 15 people. I mean, the club maxes out at 70, and that's one of the best clubs in the country as well.
Right.
And so that's the scary part, is I don't think people are understanding that there's going to be a ripple effect on everything after this. Right. And with comedy, there's a comedy boom and a comedy bust. This is going to be the bust. There are going to be tons of people that aren't going to be doing this next year. Right. And I could be one of them. I literally, like, I was thinking about the other day, I'm like, all right, well, if I can't work to the end of the year, like, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. Now, like, if I get my unemployment, maybe I could do my podcast. But it's like, it's also with doing podcasting. I mean, you have a podcast right here. This is an insanely hard thing to get listeners on. It is so hard to launch a podcast, and especially in today's market where everyone is now doing podcasts. You have Rob Lowe, a fucking actor, doing a podcast. And it's not the biggest podcast in the world. You have Conan doing a podcast. You have all these podcasts. And so it's so hard to stand out. It's so hard to have people have time to listen consistently. It's such a hard thing to do. And the money to start making money in podcasts, it's such a long way down the road to do that.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know what's going to happen to all these comics. And there's tons of comics that are in my position. Basically, you had arena acts, you had theater acts, you had sellout comedy club acts, and then you had Rocky Del Davis. So, like, I would pop in, I wouldn't sell out, but I'm a good comic, and I would do good in the weekend. Mm-hmm. Everyone buys chicken tenders, everyone's happy, right? So that's what I would do. But now you have those arena and theater acts that are doing comedy clubs. along with the sellout comedy club acts. I'm hitting up comedy clubs that I've worked consistently for the past 4 years, and they're like, sorry, man, we're booked till February of 2021. We got Joe Coy coming in. We got Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer did a fucking Tuesday at the Stardome.
Did he?
Yeah. And then you have a guy that could sell out as many shows as he wants. And he's doing a fucking Tuesday because he just wants to be on stage, and you can't blame him. He's not doing it for the money. He just wants to work and keep his hour going, you know?
Right. Because he was just doing that drive-in tour that he just finished across the country. He came through here. Yep.
And he probably sold out. Yeah.
Yeah. He sold out.
You got Taylor Tomlinson and Whitney Cummings doing dates together now. Those both would be separate acts. You have Chris Stefano, Andrew Santino going together now. Like, you have all these people that are just doing whatever they can, and they have a lot more fucking leverage than we do. Yeah. And that's just the biggest thing of where, like, doing comedy clubs, like I'm doing the Stardome, and like I have to sell a certain number of tickets or we can't do the show. Like he told me, he's like, you have to sell X number of tickets for us, because if we can't lose money on you anymore. Right. That's the thing. Is like, we can't afford to lose money. Normally they could pack it out, put 400 people in there, sell drinks, sell alcohol, sell food. But now when you're cutting that down to fucking, 200 people, well, now you're cutting into the profit. That's a huge place to fucking run, put the lights on, staff it up, everything, all that.
Oh, you're exactly right. Me and Rick were just having this conversation before you came in the backstage, because we got offered a 2-night weekend, and they're wanting us to do a door deal. And me and Rick are going to finish the conversation after, but it's like, I was like, I'm scared to do a door deal with anybody right now.
Oh yeah. I just had a show that had to cancel this weekend because the guy came out and offered me a guarantee on the place. And then he hit me up today and goes, we have 4 tickets sold. And I was like, all right, well, and he's like, I can give you the ticket sales, but I can't pay you what I promised you. And I'm not mad, because I get it from his thing. He's not going to lose money, but it's also like people aren't coming out the same way. Like me and Dustin Sims, we did shows together in June, and 2 of the places we went to previously before Corona, we had sold out. So we had done Nashville, and we had sold 140 tickets in pre-sale in 2 weeks. We were going to add another show, and then we go back to Nashville. Did Zanies, which is a better place. It's a far better club. But we did Zanies, and I think we only sold like 70 tickets. And it's just because that's just people are kind of worrisome. Like my mom, for example. My mom won't come out to shows, even if she could, because she lives with my papa. My papa lives with us. So he's 96. So whatever you think about Corona, you don't want to risk it with a guy who's 96. You don't want to take, a year off his life. A bunch of people have that situation. A bunch of people have young kids. They don't know how that's going to affect them. So people are scared to come out, and people also, they really have to watch that's one thing that's funny to me with not having money and doing like little odd end jobs and shit. I used to get mad when people wouldn't come out to shows and it'd be like $15 or whatever. And now I'm like, hey, like if you're working one of these jobs, I fucking get it, dude. Because you're like, oh shit, I'm paying 2 tickets for Rocky, and then I'm going to pay for drinks and alcohol. I'm looking at my Facebook. I'm like, shit, this ain't $15 worth. Like, you better do the Penguin story, like. I'm fucking thinking about that at a whole different level now. It's different. It's everything off this is going to change financially. It's going to be huge, man.
100%. I've only done 2 shows so far during this whole thing, which Rick and I did. One of them with Rick and I did together. We actually had 22 people come out, which was nice. I was just excited to see people besides my family. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it worked out in the place, and it was Old Vinings Inn here in Atlanta. And they're like, hey, we're going to do it again. And we're like, hey, man, give me a call. I just want the stage time and run the stuff. But then in the same token, it's like, the first show they did, it had like 4 or 5 people. But then they really can't grow it more than 20 people. So it's at a standstill. It's just so difficult. It's just so difficult. And we're all trying to figure this all out. And there's no right answer. And like you said, I started this podcast. There's 1,000 podcasts that are thousands and thousands and thousands.
No, I think
I did figure out how
like a crazy. It's more than thousands. I think it's literally like over like 100,000 podcasts. Like it is a number you would never expect. Yeah.
Right. You're exactly right. And I did cut you off. But I was like, I'm one of those hard-headed knuckleheads. It's like, you know what? I'm going to try to break this wall no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm like, nothing scares me. I'm going to go after it, whether come hell or high water. If I fail, I fail. If I don't, I don't. But we're selling shirts and we've got a sponsor, so we're doing something.
You're doing something. It's just good because like one of the best things I did a podcast. I did a podcast 2 days ago. I did one for this cigar outlet, Las Vegas cigar outlet, and just going and telling jokes and telling stories on there. It just made me like feel a lot better because it's just like I just don't get that validation anymore. And I found the tag in the joke I told on there. I found a tag that I didn't even know existed, but it was good just to be able to do it, and it keeps your timing, and it's positive to do podcasting. Right. It's positive to have conversations with comedians consistently. That's one of the biggest things I can recommend is having a podcast with a comic consistently is huge for your timing, for your joke writing, for your sanity, honestly. That's like, I talk to comics. I talk to my buddy Terry T. He lives in New York. I talk to him almost every day for hours. We play Madden and just sit there and shit talk. And it just keeps me like, back in like my formula,
Right. Keeps the mind going, keeps the juices, keeps you swinging, you're working it out. You're just keeping that muscle worked out. Now I haven't done any virtual shows. What's your thoughts on the virtual comedy shows? And have you done any?
Those are awful. Those are awful. I mean, look, I got buddies.
I have not done any.
No, I don't do one. I've done one on my own, or I've done two on my own on my Facebook Live, and I have people donate, and that helped. But it's like it just doesn't translate the same way. It doesn't work the same way. And it wasn't good. And I did one with Laughing Skull. And it was okay because you could kind of hear the crowd a little bit, but it's just not the same. Like it's not like my buddy has been doing it for pot. He's been doing it for colleges, and so he actually makes like money, like $600 doing them per piece. I would do that just for the money aspect, but it doesn't. Music is different. My buddy who's a musician, they have been doing them making bank because like you can watch a musician do it, and it's a musician sounds the same as if you were there. But a comedian, there's so many other things that come into play that just don't work at home, in my opinion. If you somebody likes them, I don't care. But it's not what I do, and I don't like. It doesn't give me any validation.
Right, I agree with that 100%. And that's been my stake to the beginning. And of course, I'm not the level you are with what you got going on, but I'm not comfortable. And I've watched them, and I'm just like, I don't want to throw my material out there just for the sake of it. I'd rather it be close knit, in the comedy formula, in the club, in a Laughing Skull, in the punchline. I mean, that's just where the magic happens, and that's where you get you don't know what's going to happen. Like your attack, we got to talk about that. You getting attacked by that lady outside the club, and dude, that's crazy.
That was wild, man. That was a wild thing to happen because it was like so. I don't know, like I'm so weird with like conversation. I feel like I've been attacked in I've been punched after a show once, but that one like I at least like talk shit to the guy and like I wanted to fight the guy. Like I kind of like sobered up a little bit and realized I can't actually, if I hit him and something happens, he's gonna fucking sue me and sue the club, and that's what today's society is. So that one, but I at least made fun of that guy. Like I like mocked that guy. Yeah. Okay. That guy was a purebred asshole, but like I ruined his night. Like I made sure to be on stage and make fun of him, and I had the whole crowd laugh at him, and I mocked him. So like he at least had like a reason to be upset, and I told him like to go. Like we went outside together. So like I gave tons of other opportunities on that, but with the woman scratching me, that one doesn't make any sense because I don't know what she was mad about. And she just randomly got mad and was mad enough to come. Like she threw a punch at me. That's the thing. Like the scratch is what called, but like she threw a legit punch at me. And I was like, like she threw 2 punches at me, which is insane. Like she was that mad. And like also like the confidence that like I always call it white lady confidence, but like the confidence of someone, you got to understand. Like you, Andy, I don't know if I've met you in person or not.
No, sir.
I'm 6'3". At that time, I'm 250 pounds. Okay. And obviously she doesn't know what I've done before that, but for her to come up to me and have that confidence to throw a punch, that is mind-boggling to me. like just so like came up and then to scratch and stand there and like talk shit to me. I was like, dude, like you are so like out of your mind drunk, you know. And then people were like, well, why didn't you hit her? I'm like, well, first off, I just don't hit women anyways. It's just not what I've ever done. Yeah. I've always been I was raised around all women, so I don't have, even if they attack me, like I just, unless I'm literally like in life or death, I won't touch you. And I was like, also, I'm like, she's drunk as shit, and you know what's gonna happen. If I touched her, she would fall, and I would be on fucking TMZ.
Right.
I'd have all these comedians on Twitter be like, I knew he was a woman beater. I knew he was.
Right.
On my weekend, Spencer. But dude, the confidence she had was unbelievable. I still like that video. The guy punching me. I was like, whatever. He hit me and took off running. That one doesn't matter. But like that lady, I'm like, is insane. I hope one day though, because she said she was a lawyer in the video, right?
Right. I saw that. I
hope one day when I get like a famous, that video resurfaces and like she gets like caught. Like that would be because you know when she did that, she woke up the next day. Now who knows? I don't know. Or some people you meet, they really like don't care. But I assume she woke up and was nervous for like the next week, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope like one day, like 5 years down the line, she's a fucking running for senator or something. Like she's running for Congress, and that video resurfaces. Because I realized I should have called the cops. I still should have called the cops because there's no telling how many people she's done that to. Probably like she's probably done some stuff. I at least my buddy's like, bro, you should at least have blackmailed her. You should have been like, hey, I'm gonna call the police if you don't give me $2,000. I should have did something. Like I let her get off scot-ass free.
No way! I did not realize you let her get totally off scot-free.
No.
That was what I was going to ask you because I was like, did he let her get away with it?
When that video ended, I was walking to my car, and I did pull back up, and they thought I was their Uber. She was so drunk, she walked to my car, and then I locked the door. And I looked at her and waved, and she like punched my car. She was insanely drunk.
And that's the thing that's funny about comedy. That's the only kind of entertainment that somebody gets really combative or argumentative, or you never leave a concert being like, man, that fucking Robert Plant singing that shit, man. I want to kick his ass.
That guy, the guy that fought me, it's so funny because the guy that punched me outside, there was so many ways I could have avoided that. Because literally I was so mad. He came to me after the show. He's like, you think you're fucking funny, huh? And yelling at me. I was like, he's like, let's fucking go outside, whatever. So we're walking outside to fight. And I'm literally sitting there talking shit to him. He's fuming angry. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I cannot fight him. If I fight this guy, I'm technically an employee of the casino. I'm 1099 to the casino. Okay. He could probably sue the casino. He could probably sue the comedy club. I could get banned from the comedy club. So I was like, I can't. So I walked to the security desk. He literally is in my face, spitting, yelling at me, calling me a pussy as I'm trying to call security. Okay. So I finally just go, all right, let's just go outside. So we walk outside and he's standing there and he's jumping around, you know, and yelling and everything. And then I go, all right, I'm just going to walk inside. So I walk back. And as I'm walking inside, he goes, okay, pussy. And I was like, here's how dumb I am and how this is what messes you up being raised in the South. Is I was like, oh, well, I got to let him hit me now. I can't just be a pussy. I told my girlfriend that. She goes, wait, so you walked inside for a second? I'm like, yeah, but then he called me a pussy. So I had to go back outside so he would know. He would know I wasn't a pussy. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, oh, you could have just walked inside and then you would have won the entire argument. And I'm like, but no, but I would have been a pussy then, though. She's like, no, you would have been smart. You would have gotten him so mad that he left and he is now gone and you won. And I was like, but I had to let him hit me to show up. He's like, so you and Change got your face cut and he hit you. Now can saying he whooped your ass but I'm like, you know, I could have whooped his ass. I'm like, but he doesn't know that. He thinks. And I was like, well, when you say it like that, it's different, you know?
Yeah. Stop making sense.
It's like, it's so.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, but you know, I used to do jiu-jitsu. I could have. She's like, yeah, but you would have went to jail. And I was like, but don't say it. You know, like, fuck, you know, like, this, like, it's just dumb. Like, I was so stupid. I'm like, if I would have walked inside, I could have won that entire argument. I'm so thankful I did not, like, tackle him or anything. Right. Or, like, even, I never punched in fights. I always just take people to the ground because I've done jiu-jitsu and wrestling for a while. And I could, but I know when the security came right after he hit me. He hit me and took off running, and they came to me, and they go, we need to ask you some questions about your fight. And I was like, you motherfucker. Well, I think y'all were watching, waiting for him to hit and run before you came out here. First off, and I was like, I know what if I would have hit him right there, dude. The security would have tased the fuck out of me. I would have got so much trouble because I was like, dude, did y'all watch? What did you say? Go chase him on your little bitch ass bike. Go chase him. And like, yeah, like now, like that guy's probably walking around Vegas like I beat that little bitch's ass. But I got a good joke out of it, and I mock him in it. I say he has a lower back tattoo in the joke. He really doesn't, but I know it'll make him really mad if he does see that. So it's like, I got 5 minutes out of it. It's a 5-minute joke that ties into the scratch joke that ties into a gun joke. And so like all together, like I really don't regret it. Like I don't have a scar or anything. Nothing's wrong. And I got 5 minutes. I make my living off of 45 minutes. So, I mean, honestly, best thing could have happened to me that day.
You got to take an ass whooping for comedy.
I was going to say, and hopefully you'll take this woman down when she's running for some sort of higher office down the road.
Please.
So it'll be
yeah.
Please
the callback.
do.
Yeah. No, the one thing I want to do though, just because I got to be honest, it does a little bit anger me that guy probably thinks he could whoop my ass. I like one day want to tell that story on Rogan or something, and he'll definitely hear it then. And be like, hey, I'll challenge you to a $20,000 jiu-jitsu match or something like that, like some high level shit.
Yeah.
Just to show him to be like, hey, don't forget, you got off easy. I don't hit during fights. I could have broke your little knee. You know, like that's just like a dumbass ego though in me. I'm like, I hope he doesn't think he can whoop my ass. I'm like, what does it matter? What does it matter? Like it's so like I have such like a weird like thing. Like I talked myself out of a fight one time. It was the only time I ever did this. I was at Greens and Proteins right down from where I live, and this was I quit fighting like 3 years ago. I said I'm not going to fight anymore. I cannot do it. I don't want to hurt someone. I don't want to get arrested. I don't want something to happen. So I went to Greens and Proteins, and this was like 2 weeks after the girl scratched me. And I went to Greens and Proteins, and I pulled into a parking spot, and I heard somebody yelling. And I'm like, oh shit, somebody's fighting. And my girlfriend goes, no, there's a guy yelling at you in the car behind us. I'm like, no, he's not. So let's get inside. So we start walking inside, and this guy comes out, bigger dude, and he comes out and he like starts yelling like, you cunt, you pulled in my parking spot. He's like, I was waiting on the lady before you, and you pulled right in there. You knew you did it on purpose. And I was like, don't yell at my girlfriend like that, you know?
Right.
Don't. No, I'm talking to you. I'm like, don't talk to her like that. So she went inside, and the guy walks over to me, and he's like yelling. And I'm like, you want to fight? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, all right, let's go fight. So we start walking to walk behind this building to fight. And as we're walking, I'm literally like, I'm about to do the same shit I did like when I got punched. Like I'm not gonna hit this guy, and if he falls or does something, I'm getting in trouble. So I stopped. I go, dude, we're about to fight over a parking spot. We're literally about to fight over a parking spot. I'm like, you parked 5 spaces down from me, and we're fighting over this spot. And then he goes, well, you're a cunt. The lady before you was taking a while, and she's a cunt. I'm like, bro, don't you see that everyone's just a cunt to you, and you're just angry about something right now? I'm like, you're mad about something, and I don't know what it is, but I hope you're not mad anymore. I'm like, it's Sunday. We won't get out of jail till Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm like, we're going to spend thousands of dollars, win or lose, over a parking spot. And the dude looked at me and he goes, I'm sorry, man. You're right. Have a good day. And walked away. And I was like, God, I could have did this shit so many times.
That's what you want to know is, how does it play out after the fight? Do you go move your car and go ahead, you won this fight. I'll park 5 spaces down.
Then I win. And my arms were all like cut up and stuff. And then I'm like, all right. So
you pass each other in the aisles.
Yeah. You go now, like, exactly. I've had that happen of where I've gotten in fights before. I got in a fight with one guy, and this guy like charged me one time, and I cattle threw him over, and I got on top of him. And I am an asshole when I fight because I don't hit. I don't ever hurt anyone. But I just take you down and I hold you down. But I got on top of him, and I was whispering in his ear. I was like, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you, sweetie. And he was getting like so mad. But then he got up, and I let him go, and he gets mad, whatever. And I realized like I cut my elbow open. I cut my foot open on the concrete. I cut my knee open on the concrete. And I was like, okay, what did I accomplish? What did that accomplish? I held him down. Now he knows I could hold him down. What does that fucking matter? Now my legs I cut my arm and shit.
Right.
I'm like, fighting is so fucking stupid, dude.
Stupid.
It's just so dumb. And people don't realize like you can lose some money fighting. you can lose some once you get that, especially if you get an assault charge against you, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't. That's one of the big things where one of the big reasons I stopped fighting. It's the predominant reason. Me and David Perdue. You guys probably know David. You've met David in Atlanta, maybe. He's a great comic. Works Laughing Skull a lot. Very funny guy. I was talking to him about one time getting in a fight, and he goes, "Well, what are you going to do when you go to Montreal for the festival?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, what if you get arrested getting in a fight? You can't go if you have an assault charge. You can't go to Canada with an assault charge." And I was like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's 100%." And I was like, "Oh, well, I probably need to stop." And I literally stopped fighting that day. I was like, "I'm never going to let this happen then." Because like you can lose, like Joey Diaz for the longest time, he couldn't go to Canada because he had like a possession charge. And so if you have a fight charge, in like that festival, which it got booked me 2 TV shows off of it. Had I got arrested for any of these tons of times I got in the fights in the past, like I would have literally been shit out of luck, and I would have lost that whole opportunity.
Oh yeah, tons. This brings back so many memories. I mean, I know we've never met in person, but I'm 6'2", I'm 260.
Yeah.
And I used to bounce here and there. Of course, I know, and I've done jiu-jitsu like you have. So I mean, I know how to take the ground and all that. And I don't like to hurt nobody. But how come it's the big guys that everybody comes after? It's like you're a moving target.
So annoying. I had a guy in high school one time. This guy, and he came. I walked in Henry's where I used to work, and he goes, "Rocky, tell them I could beat your ass." And I was like, "Do what?" And he's like, "Tell them I could whoop your ass." And I'm like, I don't think you can. He's like, "Rocky, come on." And then I'm like, "Hey, you really can't though." And he's like, "Rocky, okay." And I was like, then I get, dumb mad, my dumb ego. I was like, "All right, let's fight then." And he's like, "No." I'm like, "No, let's fucking fight. You think you can fuck with my ass?" So we walked out back of this restaurant with the owner of the restaurant, which is fucking great. That's how the South works. He was like, "Hey, somebody work the counter real quick. I'm gonna go out back and watch Rocky fight." And so we got to fight. I literally pulled guard because I pulled guard, and then I switched his leg off and got on top of him, and I was smacking him in the face. And it was just like it's just so like I've had so many people come up to me to like fight me. It's unreal. That's why I'm glad I learned how to fight, because like if not. And that's why I've trained Muay Thai, but like I don't ever box in the fight, because if you watch those videos, like especially on World Star and stuff, like when somebody gets hit and clipped the right way and they fall directly on concrete, like I'm not gonna have that fucking story. I'll do jiu-jitsu, I'll fuck up my knees, and we'll go to the ground. I'll hold you there. I'll whisper in your ear sweet things, but that's about it. But now to get me to fight you now, you're gonna have to touch like my girlfriend. That's the only way. You could do. You can do whatever. I don't give a fuck. I'm done. Do whatever you want to me. Unless you literally have me in a position where like I have to do something, I'm not doing shit. Now we went to a bar in Tuscaloosa in like January, and a dude got like leaned up against my mom talking to her, and I grabbed that motherfucker by the back of his neck. I was like, "Oh, you, dude!" Like, and security came up and like grabbed me, and I go, "Dude, he was talking to my mom. He's talking to my mom." And they go, I get it. It's like
you can get away with that in Alabama. You can get away with that in the South. You can get
My buddy Lewis came out to Vegas. He's from Alabama. He's a fucking alcoholic, and he came to Vegas and he got kicked out of 2 different places. And I was like, "Yeah, they don't play that shit in Vegas. It's not like in the South where everybody thinks about it. They will kick your ass out in a heartbeat."
Yeah. You were kicked out and banned. You don't get okay, just go home and sleep it off. We'll see you tomorrow.
No, you don't get that. They have no problem kicking your ass out of this casino. And there's cops by the door waiting for your ass outside of the casino, and they will lock you up.
Yep. And take a picture of you so they know who to look for next time you show up.
Yep.
I've never been locked up in all the years bouncing and the things I've done, thankfully. But today's a different age. We grew up in a different age. It's like, I don't want to screw this up. But if I do go to jail, I'm going to jail for something big. And I've like you, always I've said something to a couple of people who've gotten in my face at bars or clubs, and I'm like, look, if we're going to jail, we're going. And you're going to be hurt so bad that if you don't go to the hospital, when we get to the jail cell, I'm going to keep beating you and make you my bitch the entire weekend.
Yeah. Dude, I almost got in a fight one time. And I, no matter what skill I had, I would have got my ass whipped on this one. I went to this place called the Lakeview Country Club. And I go there, and I'm with my friend Lewis. And look, by the way, Lewis is like an Asian guy, like an Asian redneck. He's like 5 foot something tall, right? And so I'm sitting there with Lewis, and we're at this bar, and this guy walks by me and goes, "Bitch," to me. And I was like, "That's what the fuck that was." Walks by again, "Pussy." All right, well, whatever. Walks by again, "Little bitch." And so I finally go, "Hey, man," I'm like, Are you calling me a bitch when you walk by?" And he goes, Yeah. And I go, we went to high school together. I know you, right? He goes, yeah. And I was like, but like, why am I a bitch? He goes, we're just a little bitch. You just need to know that. And then of course, just, and I go, well, if I'm a bitch, how about I beat your ass? He goes, well, that's my whole family over there. And I'm like, I'll beat your ass? I'll beat his ass? I'm pointing at his uncle. I'm like, I'll beat your ass? And like, there's like 7 of them.
Yep.
And then he goes, let's go outside. I'm like, let's go outside. And I walk outside. I kick the door open. I'm standing outside with dude, I don't give a fuck how good you are at jiu-jitsu. I'm not beating 7 guys' asses, okay? And so I'm sitting there by the door. I'm like, come on, let's fucking go. And they're like sitting on top, like, wait, what the fuck? Does he have like a gun? Like, why is he so confident in his abilities? And I gotta give Lewis props. Lewis was standing like right there, like, all right, we're fighting, dude. Like, bartender came out and was like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. He's drunk. I'll tell him to quit and everything. And I was like, right. All right, dude, but like, I was ready to fucking throw down.
Yeah,
my ass whooped fucking 7 guys, you know.
Right.
No reason to do that.
I've learned to tame down and bottle down my rage or anything. Yeah. And try not let idiots get up. You know, and my wife kind of put it to me like this. She goes, if you're going to do this comedy thing, you're going to be just people are going to eventually come after you. And then I started seeing your stuff where I went, oh shit, okay.
If you watch my shit, dude, you're like, bro, being a comedian is fucking weird, bro. like if you're a fan of comedy and I'm like your favorite comic, you're watching my shit and you're like, okay, so he went broke in less than 3 months. He got scratched by a lady. He gets attacked all the time. Like you're like, comedy fucking sucks, man.
Instead, I'm running into the flame. I'm like a moth in the fire. I'm like, I'm coming to it.
yeah, it's great. This is what we live for right here.
That's right. This is the roller coaster I want to be on. My wife's like, what is wrong with you?
It's so crazy because you'll meet tons of comics. But like I've met a comic. I was talking to Bobby Kelly one time, who's one of the best comedians there is on earth. And he's a New York comic. I mean, he toured with Dane and stuff. And I was talking to him because he goes, you've lived the entire life of a comedian already. Like I've went through all the phases of a no name to doing Montreal, doing all this stuff, and then going to cruise ships, and then like being broke. Like I've done all the shit a comedian does in like a 8-year span. And he's like, you've already been through it. Like the stuff I've done, like in my career, like you won't find a comedian like that has been on a tour with the big cat, done theaters, swapped to being with a Facebook comedian, got dropped, went through a financial depression, got on cruise ships, did 12 TV shows, did Montreal, and then now with this of just losing everything, it's like I've lived an entire life of a comedian in such a short time. My 15 minutes of fame, it literally was 15 minutes. It was a fucking killer 15. It was great. It was a great 15. I was fucking rolling. I remember like buying my first Mac. I paid cash for a MacBook, and this MacBook right here that's now out of date because fucking Mac makes shit that lasts 2 years. But I remember like rolling, buying my mom a fucking car, buying her tires for a car, getting her windshield fixed, going out with my friends. I'm the guy that paid. Like to now, like I'm about to make a GoFundMe so I can fucking afford to eat Applebee's once a week. Like it is such a weird ride with comedy. And like I talk to other comics and like very few have experienced what I've experienced in this short period of time. It's also because a lot of comics like go somewhere and they play it kind of safe. And like they go somewhere, they live in Atlanta or they live in Nashville and they live there for a very, very long time. They eventually go to New York or LA and their progress is very slow. But like mine, like I bounced around so much. Like whenever I got comfortable with somewhere, I always left it. That's the same way I was with Vegas. I was going to leave Vegas before quarantine because I got real comfortable here where I was making money, but I wasn't doing stand up as much as I want. And so I've always like bounced around. So like I lived in New York for a little bit. I lived in LA for a little bit. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit. I lived in Nashville. I've always like bounced. So I've had like these like real like sporadic ups and fucking downs. Mine's never been like a steady climb or a steady like go. It's like so weird the way like my path in comedy has been. And even now, like going from here to now, like I don't know, it has to go up from here, but like I don't know what happens. Like my luck, I'm gonna go viral in 2 weeks, and then fucking I'm just gonna be rich. And I'm sitting here in my fucking house depressed as shit right now. And then in 2 weeks, I'm like on fucking stage, you know, a theater. We're doing Madison Square Garden, socially distanced, so it's 500 people or whatever. Right. It's this weird ride. Like my ride of comedy. I haven't met very many people that have had it in such a short experience of time. Like, I mean, literally I did everything in 4 years. I did all this insane shit in 4 years, top to bottom,
Right. No, you're right. And you have, and that's what I liked about following you. And when I was following you way before I even stepped on stage, and I was like, this guy, Rocky's just, that's why because he's just constantly moving. And when I have to explain this to my new wife, who, by the way, we've only been married a year and a half, and we got married on Saturday, and we drove back to Atlanta so I could do a show Monday.
Yeah.
So
get used to that, bro. You better get used to that. So that's how it goes, dude.
And then I'm sitting there explaining to her, it's like, well, here's what Rocky did, and here's what these guys did, and here's what it's like. So what are you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna do a little bit of all of it. And then all of a sudden COVID said, no, you're not. You're not gonna do shit.
That's the way it happens too. Like, it's like I could have just like stayed in Atlanta for a lot. Atlanta has a phenomenal scene. I could have stayed there. I could have been a big fish in a small pond. I could have worked a job, probably had like a good consistent job and done it slow. But it's like, I don't know. I like the way I did it. I don't care. Like, it's like I did the way I want to, Like, I've told Hollywood producers to go fuck themselves. And like, that's like something like I wanted to do. Now, given did it affect my career very detrimentally? Sure. Yeah. Did I get kicked off the TV show the next week? Yeah, I did. But I fucking did it my way. Okay. That's all I care about.
Was that the TV show that I just saw you on not too long? I don't want to say names if we can't. I don't know which
I'll
one.
Burn any bridge you want to burn. So, we come about NBC. Yeah, that was NBC. They tried to get me to talk shit on Matt Rife when we were going against each other. Yeah. And when we went against each other, they pulled him out of the room. They're like, so Rocky, what do you think about Matt said? I'm like, it's great. And they go, what's your biggest strength and his worst weakness? And I was like, no. And they go, well, do you think Matt can beat you? And I was like, just sat there silently. And then after like 30 minutes, I go, hey, y'all can keep asking me to talk shit on my friend, but you're wasting your fucking time. And just they had never had anyone ever talk to them like that. They were just shocked that someone could talk to them. And flash forward 2 days later, sent your boy packing.
I could tell there was some tension because I was watching it all the way through when I knew you were on it, and I was like, there's some tension there on that stage because Rocky said, no, we're friends, because you said it publicly live, on the show during the show. It's like, no, we're friends. He's good, and I was like, there's a tension there. I could feel something's not right in the neighborhood on the back end.
When they brought me out on that show, I've said this a couple times because it's so fucked up. So on my first set, like I said, I'm a bigger guy. Matt's a smaller guy than me. He's in really good shape. Probably does steroids, got lip injections or whatever. But he's in really good shape. And so for my first set, I wore a nice tight flannel that I had from Flag and Anthem. It looked good. Had my hair done right. My second set, they fluffed up my hair and they put me in a shirt that I usually wear a sweater underneath, and I wear it open. And it's a bigger shirt. It's like a boxier shirt. Right. And they go, no, it looks great. Wear it. And I was like, look, doesn't look big. They go, no, it looks good. And so when they put Matt in the second set in a tight shirt with his sleeves cut off. Okay. Yeah. And so we're doing all of our stuff and ready to go out. And they put me first. They put me first on both shows. And so that's the worst spot because there was no warm up. There was no warm up in that show. There was nobody that warmed up the crowd. So I was the warm up doing my fucking set, warm up the goddamn crowd. They sat there for 2 hours. With no drinks, right? Second show they had drinks. First show they didn't. So on the second one, they go, Rocky, Matt, you're going first. And they go, Rocky, you're going to go first before Matt. And I go, why? They go, well, it's good for the show to have someone with your kind of energy. And I was like, fuck the show. I want to have a good set. Like, so why am I going to go warm up the crowd for Matt to fucking kill? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. It makes sense for y'all, not for me. So anyways, we're sitting in the back right before they bring us on. No warm-up. Crowd is sat there fucking dead for 2 hours. And so they go, your next two comedians, one of them has a strong jawline. The other one's Rocky Dale Davis. And I look at Matt. And Matt looks at me. He goes, are they calling you fat? And I was like, I looked at my shirt, and then my shirt's big, boxy. He's wearing a tight one. I kind of looked at my hair. Hair's all fluffed up. Looks like shit. I look around, and the producers won't even look at me. And I was like, oh, my, you dirty motherfuckers. And that's one of the only ones they didn't play on TV. Because obviously, like, imagine if they did that with a girl who was actually over. Not even a girl who's overweight, just a fucking girl in general.
Right.
Or like that would have been a fucking cancel the whole Hollywood thing.
Right.
And also to do that and not tell me you're going to do that and then bring me directly on stage after, I was fucking furious, man. I was so mad. I was like, y'all are trying to fuck with me. You're trying to get me to say some shit on camera and be wild.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Ratings.
Fuck NBC. They're the worst. Fuck NBC. I don't ever want to work for you. Fuck AGT. Fuck all that. I went to AGT. I went to AGT in Arizona, and I had the Q audition, which means you audition straight for a producer, right? So you don't have to wait in line. You just show up. So I showed up. I went in with one producer, and I went in with another producer, and then I go to the last one in front of the three. It was from Nigel, like the main head of the fucking show, right?
Oh wow!
So I come in, they go, Rocky. They go, man, we love you. So what's your story? And I was like, I'm from Alabama. They go, so what's some hardships you've had? And I go, guys, I don't really do that. I was like, I don't really tell like hard shit about my life. It's not my thing. I was like, I make things funny. I don't have a sad story. And they go, okay, well you can go. And they just they have to have a sad story. They don't care. They need a sad story for you to go off of. Right. And so I was just like, and I got cut from that. And I was like, dude, fuck these shows, dude.
Right.
Fuck all of them. They're so stupid. They don't know. They ruin television. They ruin these shows. Have ruined the opportunities of people, like, because every person has to have a sad story and they have to overplay everything. It's so fucking dumb, man.
It is. I agree. I don't even watch them. I've gotten away from it, but I did watch because I was very interested in the show that you were on, and I knew you were on, and I was like, okay, I got to watch this. And I was like, something's going weird here. Yeah. And I said that to my wife, and she goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm not sure about this." I said, "Well, one day I'm going to ask Rocky this question." so here we are. So it's kind of because I did a dive.
It's like all of them do that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to hear it from you personally in that experience because I went on their Facebook page to try to get some pictures to throw up here, and I was like, Rocky's not on their Facebook page. Now I know why.
Oh, dude, they don't put my second set online either. They won't put it online, and because they know exactly what the fuck happened, and that because the thing is with Matt's set on that show. You couldn't hear Matt's audio on the side of the room. The speaker was off, so you couldn't hear Matt talk. And and so like when they had him win, I'm like, how did he win when you could not hear him talk? That doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
And they're the bro. Fuck, I hate NBC. I don't. I love Matt. It's not Matt's fault. Matt didn't do anything wrong.
Well, but every one of those networks, and every one of those networks do that. They just want to make it where it's like some sort of bullshit drama. It's like all these producers are still in that kind of high school mode. Like, let's start a fight between these two people. I can't watch that shit. I agree.
No, I can't either.
With my second set. So my second set, they had my second set was like 3.5 minutes, right? And I was telling them, I was like, hey, this is like a 5-minute set that you guys want me to do in 3.5 minutes. And I was like, are y'all even going to air all 3.5 minutes? They go, yeah, don't worry, we're going to air it all, right? So do the set. I knew what they were doing after a while because Matt's set was short, mine was long, right? And so Matt's was like 2 minutes, and so my set was like 3.5. So I do my set. And of course, when they edit it, when they put it on TV, they cut out 2 applause breaks, and they cut out the part that sets up the end of the last joke.
Oh,
and it's like they make you do longer so they can cut out what they need. And they asked me to do that, which means they already knew what they were doing.
Right. Now, is that Jeff's show or is that just NBC show and they have Jeff and Keenan on there?
No, it's not Jeff's show. It's NBC show.
I thought so. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to ask. I wasn't sure.
You know what hurts my feelings the most about that? As I thought me and Jeff would do something together. I thought for sure, man, like I would do at least a tour date or get a phone. Because we had an off-camera conversation, which you weren't allowed to talk to the judges, but we would shake their hands at the end. And everyone came up and was shaking hands, and Jeff waited for me, and we shook my hands. And he said some insane things off camera. He said things where I started crying, right? I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, life's about to change, right? And he said those things, and then I got kicked off, and I was like, all right, well, I'll hear from him once the show's over. He probably has to wait till the show's over. Right. And I reached out to his agent, and I tried to reach out to him, and nothing. He's the only reason I did the show. I did not want to do the show. He's the only reason because I just love Jeff Foxworthy.
Right.
And I thought for sure I would at least do like one tour date where my mom could come watch, like my mom, like, you got to think she's had so many up and downs in my comedy career of like, where like I'm going to be famous, this is going to happen, and then shit goes backfires. But had she been able to come to a show and I bring her backstage to meet Jeff Foxworthy, and then we do some, arena or something, like I thought something would happen from it. That's probably the most disappointing part of all this, is not being able to at least have a phone call with him, just to have like an hour phone call, pick his brain, and just talk to him. That's the most disappointing part to me.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, being on that stage, much less having those conversations, Jeff. I'd be the same way. I would be the same way as you. I would, I'd be like, hey,
like how sincere it was off camera. Like to say it on camera is different. On camera, they're writing your script. I mean, you're reading off of the script. There's a teleprompter behind us, so you're reading off the script. But to say that stuff and off camera, like, and no one else, he didn't talk to anyone else like that. I was like, dude, man, come on, not a fucking phone call, dude. Like, not one thing, man. That's what hurts me, honestly.
Right. Well, he was working on something.
Yeah.
Right, because he was working on something, because he took over the Punchline for a couple of weeks, and right after that, so he was definitely had something in the works. And then
I wanted to go to that. I wanted to go just to see him, but I wasn't able to line it up right. I really wanted to go just to be like, hey man, so maybe you forgot about me. You told me some very nice things. Maybe we could do the fairgrounds in Kentucky together.
Right.
Here's my phone number.
Yeah, here's my number. Here's my email. Here's my mom's number. I'll come live at your house. Like, that's it. Yeah, because even the producers on the TV show were they were all like, "Oh, you're going to tour with Jeff after this." They kept saying, "Oh, you're going to be touring with Jeff. You're going to be touring with Jeff." Right. And then just for that not to happen, that's the most disappointing part. Like, that hurts, man. That really does hurt.
Well, you never know. You never know what's going to happen around the corner after we get through with this. You never know. I mean, it's and as well, better than any of us. Comedy is a fickle beast, and you never know what's around the corner. That you just don't see coming.
Yeah, well, I fucking forgot about the show, so I'm sure he has. This is master plan. Maybe I'm gonna post my GoFundMe on my page, and he's gonna call me and be like, "Oh man, I totally forgot to call you. So you want to come tour with me this time next year? You want to come?"
You're like, "Hey, can you help me out with this GoFundMe though? Seriously, bro."
Yeah, bro. Seriously. Well, he just sold half of his estate. He had a garage sale at his estate, at his house. Yeah, like a couple of weeks ago, and you had to make an appointment to go walk through his house and buy stuff.
Wonder what he's doing.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. He's doing
coming to Las Vegas to pick me up. We're gonna tour the world, dude. That's what he's fucking doing.
Yeah, because I told my wife, I was like, look, because his house is up in Josh, and I said, look, this Jeff's selling all his stuff at his house. I said, you just want to go over and walk through his house?
Dude, it's a weird thing of where because I've had like certain opportunities, like if I wouldn't have followed up with Ralphie the way I did, I would have never toured with him. And I was very persistent. I was extremely persistent. And that's what I was wondering about Jeff, was like, how persistent do I go here? Because like Ralphie said, come tour with me, right?
Right.
And Ralphie was going through some personal things, so we didn't connect for like 4 months. And so I followed up consistently though, and finally got to see him again, and then we became best friends. So that's what I wonder with Jeff, was like, how consistent do I go? Because there's a comic that I think both of y'all know that knows Jeff really well in Atlanta, and I thought about hitting him up and asking for his number, but I was like, dude, how weird is it going to be though? Like if he just was really nice to me off camera and doesn't give a fiddler's fuck about my comedy. And like I hit him up, and he's like, "How'd you get my number?" And then I don't want to piss off anyone, but I was like, "God dang!" Like how persistent. That's the weird thing about comedy, is like how persistent. Like, are you? Like I'm persistent with clubs. Like I'll email a club 50 fucking times. But like another comedian, I'm like Kevin Hart. I was very persistent with him one time, and it never worked out. But it's like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a weird.
I don't know. But I do know I'm learning to be more persistent with this, after contacting you, and I've been talking to Josh Wolf and Reap, and we've had a lot of people on the show. It just blows my mind, and it's like how I'm through that, because you want to respect people and their thing, but at the same time we're all comics, we're all trying to do the same thing. So I agree, it's a fickle thing. I don't have an answer. I just know like when you said, "Hey man, I'm busy," I just left it dead, and then you came back, and I was like, "Oh shit, Rocky's coming back."
Yeah,
I want to be respectful, I want to.
It was nothing like rude to you. It's like it's literally just like sometimes like it's like I just don't have any time when I look at a week, and so like if you wouldn't have followed up, I never would have remembered. And so that's like the weird thing of where like that's what I wonder with like Jeff, but that motherfucker also probably doesn't control his Instagram, so I'm emailing some robot or some shit,
Well, I found out how to crack the thing to get to Bert Kreischer. So if I can crack the nut to get to
Birdie boy,
yeah. So there's a way to get to Jeff. There's a way. I've got a family.
I'm gonna plan a trip to his estate sale. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like $100 minimum to go through his house. It's like you got to buy something at least for $100.
I thought that's what it was going to be. You'd have to pay just to, but they didn't have They didn't have that. They said just make an appointment, and you chose a time. And I was like, this is too easy. This is weird.
That's odd.
This is weird. This is odd.
Jeff, I purchased Jeff Foxworthy salt and pepper shakers for $100.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
He literally could probably make bank if he just signed everything in that house. If he just signed
yeah.
Salt and pepper shaker, fucking a wood cleaver.
The salt is Jeff and the pepper's Foxworthy.
Yeah, right.
You gotta buy the set. You gotta buy the set.
That's right.
Well, boys, we are at our hour. I don't want to drag this out, Rocky, dude. I could sit here and talk to you probably another hour or two, but I got a football game to get to for my son's first game. Man.
He's safe, dude.
Well, dude, hey, thanks, Rocky. Hey, tell people where they can find you. I've got RockyDaleDavis.com up here, YouTube, your GoFundMe, anything like that, and we'll all put it in the tag.
Yeah, I think I was very hesitant about doing a GoFundMe at first, but your boy is broke as a joke. Okay, so I'm actually probably going to put it up because it's a really hard time for comedians, and a lot of comedians are getting unemployment. I am not, so. It's a weird thing that to have that of where I'm a very prideful person, but I've had a bunch of people that want to donate, so I think I'm going to put my GoFundMe up because I have no other way to make money right now, really. And so Rocky Dale Davis on Facebook and Instagram, I'll put it up everywhere. And if you don't give me money, it means you hate me. So it means you don't like me as a person. Whatever. But Rocky Dale Davis, my name right here. It's my name on all social media, everything, all my videos, my album. What I'm going to be doing, I think, is I'm going to film a special in Birmingham, Alabama on September 24th, and I'm going to sell that online. So the way I was thinking about doing it, because I have a really weird thing about taking money from people, just taking it. I think if you donate to the GoFundMe, I'm going to give you the special when it's done. So
nice.
I think that's that's cool. Fucking my cat, dude. What are you doing, bro?
No, that's awesome.
Look at this guy in the background, bro. Just chilling. Kitchen whore, bro. But I think I'm gonna do that. I think it's a cool idea to give away the special if you donate.
Dude, that's it. That's an awesome idea. Matter of fact, put it up. We'll make sure we tag it on the podcast so it's on YouTube and everywhere, and we'll also talk about it on our radio show.
Is it weird to ask like people for money? Like it feels so weird. But then I've had people come up to me and then they go, dude, because I had a lady, right? So I had a lady because I was talking to her about it, a fan. And she goes, you've posted hours of videos. You've done Facebook Lives. You do a free podcast. You put out a free album. She's like, you've done all this stuff. She's like, you do shows where we get tickets for free all the time. She goes, what's it to me to give you $50?
Right.
That's but it's weird. Like, it's just odd things. Like, we're all from the South where you work, you break your back for minimum wage. And then you shut your mouth and you go to the bar on Friday and you get hammered. Saturday, hammered. Okay. Sunday, go to church. Repeat,
Yep. No, it is. But, you're exactly right. The hours and the time that you've put into what you do, there's no reason you can't, because you're entertaining people. So even this podcast, it being here, and we want to thank you for that, by the way. So,
absolutely.
Don't feel that way.
Y'all can't air this though, by the way. Y'all can't air this.
Okay.
I thought this was just like a Zoom between me and you. I thought you guys want to have a conversation. None of this stuff can go live. It's NBC.
It's like Fight Club.
What if I did that the whole podcast? I'm like, oh, I didn't know we're live. You guys can't air it. You can't put this.
We can't talk about me fighting with all these people.
Hey, no, that guy will whoop my ass. You can't.
Behind a restaurant. I had to beat a guy down
exactly.
by the restaurant. My boss needed to see this.
The real story comes out where they're like, no, that guy beat the fuck out of Rocky. He had to call off that day. He was getting blood in the hamburgers.
Well, good. Well, keep it. I'm going to keep track. If you are doing that September 24th day, I'll drive over to check that out. But I definitely am very interested to see how that works out.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to film something just to have the thing right now. The biggest thing that I don't have any I guess residual income. Like, is it residual or I guess like monthly? I have no way. If I need $50, I can't get $50. So like normally I can like go do a set or I have T-shirts to sell. I don't have any way to make money, so I'm just trying to find a way of where like, okay, if I have a set, maybe if like one day I need some money, I could post it and somebody's like, oh, I didn't know you were selling this, and they send whatever amount of money, just something to generate some income and just to generate some interest, and also I think I'm going to take the tracks and put them on Sirius XM, and so just to have some more stuff playing on there and just try to do something and not just sit in this house and fucking yell at these cats all day.
Well, have you thought about, have you thought about doing like an online comedy class, virtual, people pay, and you do it for like 3-4 weeks, something like that? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know.
I can't do that because for the way I do comedy is so different from anyone else. So right. I don't write, so I can't tell you how to write. I can't really tell you how to tell a story because the way I tell it is very different, and I don't have relatable stories, so I don't talk about relatable topics most of the time. Like I have a story about a penguin humping my leg. I have a story about a pig and a horse having sex. So I'm not going to be able to tell you how to write a relationship joke because I don't know how to write it. That's something. And honestly, with me about comedy classes, some people like them, but I feel like the best way to do comedy is just to do it because anything you learn from, it's like it's hard to break out of it. Like it's like if I tell a joke 3 times on stage and I say something a certain way, it's very hard to break that. So if you learn from someone who you think is ahead of you that this is the way you write a joke, it's going to take a long time for you to get away from that. If I would have wrote jokes, which I did at the beginning of my career, the way I write them down, I would have never gotten to where I am now, which is a lot freer way of talking. It's just the best thing for people to do is to talk the way you talk off stage. And that's for me. A lot of people are characters. So that's not for, Gilbert Gottfried off stage is not the guy he is on stage. Whereas when you talk to me now and see me on stage, I sound pretty much the exact same. So it's like, that's the thing. Right. That's why I have a weird thing with comedy. I like writing classes because if you're a writer, you learn how to write.
Right.
But also look at every TV writer. Most of them sound the same on stage because they write the same way. You learn how to write at Harvard or whatever college. It's the same formula, 3 dots and slide. That's the thing is they all have a similar style. It's a slow paced style. It's a writer's style. Whereas like you look at guys like take me, for example, and then you take guys like Nate Bargatze, for example, and then you have Bill Burr. So you have all these like different styles of like of ways to do things. And you have Burt, who's like this like wild, outlandish guy. So it's like you kind of find yourself more than becoming just and by the way, if you just take a writing class, you could be good at writing. But I don't know, maybe comedy classes, I can never do that.
I just thought I'd ask. I mean, because your stature where you are. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can get people.
I'm still gonna do it. I'm just gonna hate it. I'm still gonna take it. No, I'm just telling you, I'm gonna hate it. Like I'm not gonna do anything. But it's going to be $9,000 for a class. I'm like, do you want to get on NBC? Do you want to be on NBC 2 episodes? Bro, right. You can say something funny the other day. So you get residual checks from NBC, right? And so the first one I got was like $1,800, right? So I got one like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh, finally a win. I got $1,800. Okay, I can pay off some stuff. I opened it and I think it was $36. And I was like, God, motherfucker. God, no. It's like when you're in the desert and you're like picturing like a water fountain. You walk up and it's just more sand. You're like, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just such a letdown.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
$36.
Yeah, 30.
Thanks, NBC.
I still have this. I still have it. It's in my car. I hadn't even cashed it yet because I'm big balling. $36.
They're like, suck our peacock.
Yeah. Those shows is insane because the way they get you on those shows is they pay by the episode, not by the day's film. So I was there for 2 weeks, but I only got paid for 2 episodes.
Oh.
So you don't make any money. You don't make any money because the contract originally said you were paid SAG rate per day, which is 1,234. You're paid that per day, but they somehow worded it where it's actually per episode. So I thought I was getting I thought my check was gonna be like 20 grand.
Right.
I get that check, and I think it was like after taxes, it was like $1,800, but then you get the residual one, which is okay. But it's like, yeah, those shows, I love them. People think I'm rich before this, all the time, and I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. I lost money. I lost money filming this show. I literally turned down a week that was $2,800 to do this gig where I lost money. The worst.
That sucks.
Welcome
but you know what?
Business.
That's show business.
That's show business right there.
That's show business in a nutshell. Well, and that's a good place to end on because that's our show, I think, for the day. Rocky, I can't thank you enough, brother.
No problem, man.
Man, I learned a lot.
Y'all
yes, sir. Be safe, Rocky.
Yeah, good to see you again, Rock.
Yes, sir.
Hang in there, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, man. We'll be in touch. Thanks, sir. See you guys. Hey, Rick, it was a great show, man. And we're going to close this sucker out. And you and I got a few things to talk about off camera. But other than that, hey, folks, thanks for joining us. We had a super long, awesome show. Actually, it was only 11 minutes, so it wasn't super long. But it was an amazing show. Rocky, can't thank him enough. If Rocky puts up the GoFundMe, help him out. Throw him $5, $10, $20. He's going to put together some stuff. Hopefully, we'll see that show September 24th come about. And again, we got another show coming up, another episode Friday, 6:30 p.m. We'll also be Tuesday, all about the laughs on Power 108.9 with me and Rick.
Yep.
Rick, you got anything to close us out?
No, just looking forward to the next show. It's going to be great. This was a great show. Super exciting guest. Awesome. Can't wait for tomorrow's show. So thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody that's been watching, and see everybody real soon. Yeah, go buy a shirt. Podcast shirt's still on sale for $19 at storefrontier.com/Andy's Room. And we will see you on the next show. Bye, guys.